Hey guys, I'm back, taking a stroll out in the backyard. So there has been a lot of requests for me to do more survival type videos, and I have always given the reason I don't do those survival instruction videos is because there's real experts out there who do it. There's an actual military occupational specialty of survival instructor. They're the dudes who taught me the stuff that I know to survive out in the wilderness and stuff. Like, they're the real experts. I know a fair amount, but I'm not an instructor. I'm not an expert in it. So I don't feel qualified to do these, I'm going to teach you the skills to survive the apocalypse. That's not me. That's not what I do. I do know my gear pretty well. I know some of my techniques pretty well. But the truth is, I'm not going to bullshit you guys and say, do exactly what I do and you'll be fine. Because I do things my own way. But there are some areas where I feel like, sure, I can share some of my knowledge and stuff. And I'll do that. And one of the most important areas in surviving somewhere is starting a fire. Now, the thing is, people will watch stuff online and see the way somebody does it and say, well, that's the way it's got to be done. Or, there's certain kind of standard ways that stuff is taught. And, excuse me, people will assume, well, that's the way it's always done. So number one, I should say, this is a military, I was a military instructor, just not for survival school stuff. There are differences between a procedure and a technique. A procedure is something you have to do. You have to do it that way, or you have to take certain steps. A technique is the way you pull off that procedure. And the two, while connected, are different. So, I might do things a little bit different than you might do things. As long as the procedures are right, 100 different people can have 100 different techniques. And that's why sometimes you see me do things different from someone else. I might comment on someone else's technique and say, I'm not going to do that. That looks sloppy to me. But if it works for them, it works for them. So anyway, with that in mind, I figured one of the things we could talk about starting a fire is, it's great if you have all the fancy tools. What if you don't have all the fancy tools? What if you need a good natural fire starter? Now, this is not about, you need some kind of ignition source for this, but I see people spending a whole lot of money on these fancy fire kits on Amazon and all sorts of other stuff. And nature provides one of the greatest fire starters in the world, and it's called Fatwood. I love Fatwood. I take Fatwood with me everywhere I go. And so we'll talk about Fatwood. I'm actually not in an ideal place to talk about Fatwood or to find Fatwood. I know there's a few places around here. I found Fatwood back here before, but I actually came out here hoping maybe I could find some as we're doing the video, but it's okay. So Fatwood comes from, I'm just gonna have a seat by a tree here. Fatwood comes from basically dead pine trees. Comes from either the heart, what we call the pine heart, right? So if a pine tree is typically, when you cut it down, when it has stopped its life cycle, it accumulates a certain kind of, for lack of a better word, sap, right? And the core, the stump, or sometimes the intersection of branches where they grow and everything, can get saturated with this stuff. And it has I love the smell of it. It's a really good smell. And it's a very flammable, naturally occurring source. It's great. But really, anywhere there's a pine tree, you should be able to find it. And, I know there are some, I should have marked it, but there is a Fatwood producing tree out here because me and Aiden have found it, and we have taken some of it off. The advantages of Fatwood is it never goes bad. It never spoils. It just sort of, it's it's got, well, I'm going to show you what some looks like, but it can sit for almost ever waiting for you to come harvest it. And once you find it, once you get it, there's different ways you can process it, different ways you can use it, and it can just sit in your fire starting kit for almost ever and just wait for you to use it. And it is very flame catching, no chemicals involved, you know, you don't need anything artificial, and it's awesome. So I was hoping that I could retrace our summertime steps to find what Aiden calls tree point alpha. He's got tree point alpha, tree point bravo, and one of those trees, tree point alpha, was an old dead pine tree that we found that was actually, it yielded us some really nice fatwood and some of the branch connections with the stump. Now, the problem is, off of that way, I mean, you can't see it, but you see how it comes to a big clearing? There's a little tiny puddle jumper airport over there, and they recently had some tree service guys come in and do some cleanup and remove some stuff, and it has changed the landscape a bit. My fault, I should have marked the location so I would know. But mostly we have oak and pin oak out here, but there are a scattered amount of pines. Pine is very common though. I mean, you can find it all over the country. The thing is, it's best if you find one that is, again, cut down, has died naturally, has stopped growing, and you get into the heart of that pine tree, or like I said, you know, where its branches come off, and you can find that fatwood very easily. You can get fatwood in a lot of places. You can buy, you know, these little kits that come with fatwood all cut up and all shaved up and all this stuff in a little tin for, I don't know, more than you should. But it's a very common household fire starter as well, and you might have seen it around on all sorts of stuff. You can buy it in boxes for a really good price. I got 5 pounds of it, 5 pounds of cut fatwood, basically it's like kindling sticks, for $10. And I keep it just for, you know, the fire, but it kind of, it's the exact same thing. Basically all they did was they took the pine heart, cut it into little sticks, packaged it in a box, you know. So like I said, you can find it for free if you're in a place with pines, and I could go to any number of parks around here and find pine. We're just, like I said, I'm in an oaky type place with some scattered pines around. But in the interest of timing on this video, I probably just won't walk around looking for one. I'll just use what I got. But anyway, you can buy these, and you can buy them in the store. You can order them online. You know, shop around and get your best deal. But once you have them, I mean, you can make one of these $10, $15 fire kits that they sell on Amazon. And if you buy 5 pounds of it for $10, you know, and the one on Amazon has a few ounces worth of fatwood in it, just think how far that stretches. So it's pretty good. And you don't really need too many fancy tools to produce the kind of stuff they sell in those kits. Not at all. So, as much as I love hanging out here in the woods, let's head in and let me get the stuff together. Actually, we'll do it right in the back by the fire pit. And I'll show you the different options you have for taking this fatwood. I really wanted to show you like a trunk, but they pulled a whole bunch. I'll show you pictures. I thought I had found one, but turns out what we have here is a lovely little cedar stump, and it's got some sap going. So, great smelling wood, and I think the sap on this will burn, but it doesn't make the same kind of fatwood that a specific pine we're looking for will. But cedar, of course, great wood for many other things. I should let everybody know that the front end of this video was filmed several weeks ago before I got kind of sick and everything. And we're carrying on now. It's a bit colder out, but still very nice. We're ready to continue. So when you buy Fatwood, this is just one of the ones that's available. And I mean, like I said, find it on Amazon, find boxes of it in supermarkets, even in Walmart, whatever. Very cheap, very inexpensive, but even better when you find it for free out in the wilderness. Now, I showed you one little picture of you know, an example of what a stump might look like. And I don't know if I mentioned this, you want ones that have been around for a while. You don't want freshly cut ones. You know, you don't want to go and cut a resinous pine down and then instantly use the stump. It takes a little bit for the that pine heart to get just saturated and for that resin to become kind of crystalline like you see here. And so just imagine a big chunk of that stump, and you know, you literally will carve out these pieces. There is no difference between what you buy and what you find, except it's yours free. But these pieces here are just great examples of what you can use. In the earlier portion of the video, I had fixed blade Mora with me, but you can use any knife to work on this stuff. It can be a little tough, depending on, oops, you probably also work with a stable rock, if that's what you're gonna do. It can be a little tough depending on how long it's been sitting, but it cuts fairly easily. Again, pine, it's not a hard wood. It's not like things like oak and everything else that we have around here. It is a much easier wood to work with, and you see I can just split this using hand pressure. Now you see again that kind of reddish amber color. That's all the resin that's in this stuff. And just to give you an idea, I'm going to use a lighter now just to make it easier. If the wind will not blow it out, I mean, this will just light naturally. Well, it's taking a little bit, but you can see, I don't know if you can see the resin, the sap bubbling up around there. So this is stuff that wants to burn. Now, the reason I cut it up into smaller pieces is because it burns a little bit better when you give it a little bit more surface area than this. Let me grab some UCO matches. I can give you a better example if we put this kind of right here in the fire pit. I just want to show you how well this does burn when you get it going. We're not making a big fire right now. We're just laying these here. And you can see that'll catch right away. All it took was one match and, you know, a little constant heat on it. The lighter kept blowing in the wind. Sorry about that, but great fire starting material. It's awesome. What I like to do also is take this little tinder shredder here, and this has been sitting in here for a while. I've been working on it. And this is a great way to outfit your fire starting kit. Look how well that's burning too. All natural, no chemicals, nothing. Just a match and the Fatwood, and we're gonna let it keep going. Take one of your Fatwood pieces, and now we just opened one of these in Battle Box. I've had this one before. It's like a cheese grater. And this is again a beautiful example of what good Fatwood looks like. And I'm just going to let that keep burning while I transition to over here. If we take this stuff, and this right here, I mean, so, oops, again, I don't like this particular shape. It works. I just don't like this particular thing right here. But a piece of Fatwood, and this right here is a fire starting kit all by itself. Because this is just going to catch very nicely, very easily. Did you see that? That was cool. It's like having magnesium shavings or anything else in one of those fancy kits right there. So you get one of these boxes, or again, find yourself a stump, and you have what I think is probably the world's best natural fire starter right there with you. Now, if you're good with a bow drill and you have the stuff to put that together, you need nothing. You know, you can find your Fatwood, put together your bow drill. You know, you could, I don't know, I've never really successfully feather sticked Fatwood. I guess it can be done. I've always found that it tends to want to cleave away like that. But again, you could take these little shreddings, you know, you could just shave the stick like this to little pieces. Now look at that. Oh, I'm going to show you again. Look at that beautiful resin, and you can feel the stickiness there on there. That is what's going to light so nicely. And again, you don't have to store it any special way. You don't have to take really good care of it. You could keep a stick, and you keep just, you know, a few sticks in your pack, and you're good to go. Look at that. It is incredibly good natural fire starting stuff. And it makes nice little crackles when it burns. And it has a good smell to it too. You know, because it's got a natural kind of pine-like smell. If we were to put some of this right over that, right there with some shavings, and using this as your kindling, you can start even a pretty wet fire, you know, if that's what you've got lying around. So Fatwood is amazing stuff. And if you're new to survival, if you're new to the outdoors, if you're just new to fire starting itself, now you see how it looks all wet. That's that sappy resin coming to the surface as it burns. But this is stuff you just can't beat. I love it. I love it. And this is something that they taught us in survival school to look out for and to find and to claim. And you know, a little bit of it really does go a long way. If you're going to shred it up, if you're going to slice it, you can put it in little plastic bags. You can put it in a tin. You know, if you have, just like I said, just a few sticks like this will last you a really long time if you're thrifty with it. If you shave it up, if you grind it up, put it in a little tin, put it in some little Ziploc bags, put it away. You don't need a lot to start a good fire, as we've seen. Just a few shreds, and you know, you imagine we just had some regular kindling under that, some leaves maybe, some little twigs, and then we slowly built our fire on top of it. That's gonna build a good enough fire, keep us warm, cook some food, whatever we got to do. So, once again, Walmart, Amazon, all sorts of, you know, survival-related places, outdoor stores. Pick it up by the box. Pick it up by a few sticks at a time. Do not spend the money, $10, $15 on a little tin though, full of little plastic bags of shavings, because you can force multiply for yourself, make that yourself, and make 1,000 times as much for the same money if you just either buy the box, or probably 1,000,000 times as much. But don't waste the money on one of those big fancy fire starting kits with all this different stuff. Get yourself one of these little Smith's tinder shredders. You don't even really need one though. You just need a blade and an ignition source of some kind, a ferro rod, a pack of matches, you know, even a lighter. Look at that beautiful glowing fire coming from this one stick, and it's warm too. Spend some time out, learn what pine looks like. You know, explore your outdoors. Find yourself somewhere, an old pine stump somewhere. Harvest your own. Put it in a closet somewhere, and you know, use it as you need it. But I think that this is a product, a natural survival tool that everybody should take advantage of and know about and use. Might not be the fanciest, you know, how-to or survival video, people want to see me do, but I think that it's a good one. It's an important one. And who doesn't love making a nice fire, right? So what do you guys have to say about this? Who knows of, and honestly, if you think you know a better, oh look, we got some stuff in there now too. If you know of a better natural fire starting material, please do throw it in the comments. What else do you guys like to use? What else, what else would you put in there? I like this because you can find it almost anywhere, if you were to go and Google and search for all the different areas where you can find resinous pines, they're everywhere. Thanks for watching. As always, you guys are all absolutely awesome. I appreciate every single one of you, and I'll be back again, maybe with a video like this, maybe like another video, but I'll be back again real soon.